The soul's journey. What happens to you 1 year after death? The moment of death is often imagined as the end. The last heartbeat, the final breath, the silence that follows. But what if, at that very instant, something else begins? A process so profound, so invisible to physical eyes, that it changes everything we think we know about life and death. Today, we're going to explore that hidden journey, what happens after the final breath, according to near-death experiences, spiritual traditions, and timeless wisdom. Stay with me until the end, because understanding this journey doesn't just bring peace about dying. It teaches us how to live more fully right now. 1. The moment of departure. It begins quietly. Sometimes in a hospital room, sometimes at home, sometimes alone. The body stops moving. The heart stops beating. And the breath, that rhythm we never think about, exhales for the very last time. But consciousness doesn't just vanish. People who've been clinically dead for a few minutes describe the same thing, a sense of lightness, a peace beyond words, and the strange awareness of watching their own body from above. It's as if the soul gently detaches. Not like flipping a switch, but like untying an old knot of memories, emotions, and experiences. In many traditions, this moment is marked by the breaking of what's called the silver cord, the energetic link between the physical and the spiritual body. When that cord breaks, the connection to matter ends, and the soul begins its next chapter. 2. Confusion and awakening. But not every soul realizes what's happened. Imagine waking up in your house. Everything looks the same, but something feels different. You try to talk to your family, but they don't hear you. You reach for a door, but your hand passes through it. For many, the first moments after death feel exactly like that. They see, they hear, they think, but they can't interact. Especially in sudden deaths or accidents, the shock can leave the soul confused, even lost. In Spiritist and Buddhist teachings, this phase is a kind of energetic twilight. The soul still vibrates close to the physical world, trying to understand what happened. Some remain near their bodies, watching paramedics, hearing loved ones cry. Time feels strange. Minutes can seem like hours, until slowly, the realization dawns. I'm no longer in the physical world. 3. The 7 days of passage. In many ancient teachings, from Kardecist Spiritism to Tibetan Buddhism, the first 7 days after death form a sacred corridor. During this time, the soul is still close to earth. It may visit its home, its family, or even its own funeral. That's why wakes and prayers are so powerful. They don't just comfort the living, they help guide the soul forward. Every word of love, every tear, every prayer creates vibrations that either help release or hold back. Desperate cries like, "Don't leave me," can energetically bind the soul to the earth. But words of peace, "Thank you," go in light. "We love you," act like gentle winds pushing it toward the light. When this 7-day cycle completes, the soul begins to rise, ready to move into more subtle realms of existence. 4. The 40 days of review. After those first days comes a deeper transformation, the 40 days of farewell. This period, found in many traditions, represents purification and reflection. It's said that Jesus himself appeared for 40 days after resurrection, symbolizing transition between worlds. For the soul, it's like reviewing a book, the book of its own life. Every page, every choice, every emotion is relived. But this isn't punishment. It's understanding. The soul feels what others felt, the joy it gave, the pain it caused, the love it shared. It's a profound awakening of empathy. Spiritual guides often accompany this process, helping the soul release guilt, regrets, and attachments. As these old ties dissolve, love becomes purer, free from fear, ego, or ownership. By the end of 40 days, the soul begins to let go of earthly weight and prepare to move on. 5. Emotional ties and letting go. Even as it ascends, the soul can still feel the emotions of those it loved. When the living are consumed by grief, when we repeat, "I can't live without you," that pain echoes like a chain. Out of love, some souls linger, unable to leave while their loved ones suffer. But this only causes mutual pain. The soul cannot rise and the living cannot heal. True love, however, sets free. It remembers, it honors, but it doesn't imprison. Because love doesn't end with death, it transforms. And when the soul is finally free, it can visit, inspire, and protect in ways far beyond physical presence. 6. The portals. Beyond after release comes the moment of crossing, when spiritual portals open. These aren't gates in the sky, but vibrational doorways. Each soul moves to the realm that matches its own inner light. For some, this means entering luminous cities, spiritual colonies described in many mediumistic works, such as those of Chico Xavier. Places filled with gardens, libraries, and learning centers where souls rest and heal. Others, burdened by guilt or anger, find themselves in dimmer regions, not as punishment, but as a reflection of their inner state. Eventually, every soul receives help. Mentors, guides, and loved ones reach out, leading them toward higher planes. 7. Healing and learning. Once within these subtle worlds, the soul enters a stage of healing. Some rest in peaceful chambers, surrounded by light. Others undergo treatments, energy alignments, lessons, reflections. They learn universal laws, cause and effect, vibration, and unconditional love. They meet teachers and companions who remind them, "You are consciousness, you are eternal." For some, this phase lasts years. For others, lifetimes of preparation await before the soul feels ready to reincarnate again, to return to Earth for new lessons. 8. Visits and signs from beyond, but even before reincarnation, souls often visit. Sometimes through vivid dreams, so real that we wake up crying, laughing, or feeling their hug. Sometimes through subtle signs, a familiar scent, a song, a butterfly landing near you at the perfect moment. These are not coincidences. They're reminders that love never dies. The best way to feel these visits? Stay peaceful. Pray, remember with gratitude, and release with love. Because the lighter your energy, the clearer the bridge between worlds. 9. The 1-year circle. Many traditions say that 1 year after death, the soul completes its first full cycle. By then, it has settled into its new stage, perhaps guiding others, perhaps preparing to return. For us, the living, that anniversary doesn't have to be only about loss. It can be a moment of celebration, a quiet recognition that life continues in another form. Everything, absolutely everything, is part of a greater cycle. Death is not the end. It's a doorway. And what lies beyond is not darkness, but understanding, healing, and love. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs peace. And remember, living with awareness, gratitude, and compassion today is the greatest preparation for the journey beyond.